Hello, good day, good morning, good evening, and good night, depending on what part of the world you may be from. I am making a complete rundown of the markets this last week. I'm essentially going to be combining everything that has happened throughout the week because of how one directional the market has been, and of course what I pointed out in my last video. So this is going to be completely unscripted. None of it was documented to be in a way that could be presented in a video format. Of course the numbers are there and many of you may be interested in that, but I'm just going to leave that for the last part of this video. But right now I'm just going to be focusing on the overall perspective of the market, what I was looking for and what I expected and how it panned out. So starting off with the dollar index, starting from the weekly chart, I disabled the illustrations so we can see a little bit of the price action. A couple weeks ago I mentioned that I was looking specifically at this candlestick and I wanted to see, when we were rallying up, I wanted to see if we could close above this candle, and we did trade above it, but we didn't close above it on this week. So this week was the confirmation one. The previous week, last week, was the confirmation that we may be able to see higher prices. Of course, targeting this high and short-term target being these two highs, these relative equal highs. The reason I wanted to see this move, this candle close above this, is to be convinced that we are definitely turning bullish now. It's because we are not able to trade into this other block or this buy side imbalance from this candlestick low to this candlestick, from this high to this low of this candle. The space in between being a buy side imbalance, a BC, we're not able to trade into it, and we reversed just shy away from it. So I wanted to see if this reversal was a true bullish trend to the upside, at least to take out this high and potentially this high, and then of course that being the main buy side liquidity. Let me temporarily enable the illustrations so you can clearly see the other block I'm talking about. From the high there to this body, that's the other block, and then the fair value gap being from this candlestick's high to this candlestick's low, in between being a BC. Of course, inside of this we have another BC on the daily perspective, which was why I really wanted to see if we could trade into this other block and see higher prices from there, but we did not trade into that. So going on now to the daily perspective to highlight the BC that I was just talking about seconds ago, we can see on the 5th of April 2022 we have a buy side imbalance sitting there on the daily chart of the dollar index. So I wanted to see if we could trade there to see higher prices when we were falling off, but we were not able to do that, and we just started seeing bullish PDRAs being supported for higher prices. In this case we saw a buy side imbalance, rejected off of it, traded higher. A lot of choppy range here because we started moving into the month of August, and August being known to be a consolidative month. So we traded above this CB, the sell side imbalance, from this candlestick's low to this candlestick's high. Traded above it and closed above it, really proving bullish prices. So when we came back into this CB, I wanted to see it used as support for higher prices. Of course, I mentioned that in the video. I also did mention that I wanted to see if we could trade into this daily order block. We didn't trade into it, and then I at the end said that I may not even wait for this, even though this tail consequence encroachment and all these areas down here, even though they are good levels, proper discounted levels to be considering buying opportunities, we should also remember that we're in the month of August and we may not see the cleanest price action. Looking at this candlestick here, remembering that in the previous video I highlighted these two candles as my invalidation point, these specific two candles to be my order block. Well, the order block I was looking at, not that I created the order block theory or something, but I was looking at these two candlesticks. I wanted to see if we traded below it and closed below it, below them both, then I would have said that the trade opportunity is now invalidated. But we didn't even come to it. In fact, we actually used just the top of it when we traded into just the top of it, then started seeing higher prices throughout the week, because this was on Tuesday, then Wednesday, Thursday, and today being Friday, which I believe will bring an expansion even more to the upside. I believe today might close looking like this. So as price traded back into this CB, I considered it to now become an inverse fair value gap on a daily perspective to start seeing higher prices. And then as the week went by, we started getting premium prices, discount prices, premium prices, discount prices. We literally kept trading higher and lower. Fortunately, we considered Tuesday to create our low of week. In the dollar index chart, we did not do that. As you can see, Tuesday was a higher low, but on the Euro USD chart, we have Tuesday being the highest point of the week. So it was now easier to trade from Tuesday till today. Well, higher prices on the dollar or lower prices on the Euro USD chart. So I will not be breaking down what has been happening intraday, because there's no necessity at the moment. For those that are curious enough or interested enough or patient enough, we'll go through my specific entries on my trade history and see what they want to see from there. So let's move on to starting off with the USD CAD. Very similar structure, bullish trend to the upside. I was essentially riding it all the way. I will also show my positions on this, and I scaled off about 99.9% of my trades at this area, specifically because of the daily perspective we have. Of course, with the USD CAD, my trade take profit levels are at these highs. Then of course, if we can break it, I wanted to see if we can take out this high. And at the moment, we are inside of this BC, again, buy side imbalance. From this candlestick's high to this candlestick's low, we have a buy side imbalance stretched out over time, and we may potentially see this becoming an inverse fair value gap. So this may be used as some sort of resistance to push price lower, even if it's temporal, but it may push price lower, right? And I didn't want the possibility of that happening and moving from a profitable week to an actual losing week. So I didn't want anything like this happening. I didn't want the chances of something like this happening. So I scaled off a lot of my trades from when we tapped in there. Looking at price right now, if the dollar keeps on getting stronger and breaks the highs that we highlighted on the dollar index, we may also just see something like so, and we may end up using this as support for higher prices. Of course, we'll see how next week's price action plays out, and of course the weeks after that, but we may see something like this using this PDRA to support higher prices. So that's the UCAD. And now going to Euro USD. Forgot this was still here. This is just a demo execution that I was trading. I was checking to see what would happen on that particular trade, and this was measurements of the previous day's week on Euro USD, but I'm going to delete that because it's not necessary now. I know there's a lot of alerts and sketches and stuff, but I always delete my illustrations at the end of every week, so I'll try and get all these deleted by the end of this week, end of this trading day. So of course, the same way that we have that short-term buy side target on the dollar index on the left, sitting over there. We have already hit it yesterday. We can see that we pierced through it, but I want to see if we can take this one out now today. But now that we've taken this buy side, yes, it's only by a few pips, a few handles, a few dollars, a few whatever it is, right? But I think and believe that now we have now essentially created triple equal highs, relative equal, of course, one being there, two being there, and the third one being there now. So I want to see us take this high, potentially creating an order block with this candlestick for higher prices. So this to me is still just now another equal high that needs to be taken out. And even when looking at it from a, say, 1 hour perspective, these highs are looking like some sort of resistance to retail traders. Well, I am technically a retail trader, but to the basic introduction to trading, they would think this is some sort of resistance because it supported price here, supported price there. They might expect it to support price here, but I want to see us break through it aggressively, and that might lead to us taking out even this buy side liquidity that I highlighted a little bit above us here. So because of this price action that I'm expecting on the dollar index, I want to see something powerful enough, strong enough to break lower, closing the daily candlestick looking something like so, and essentially wiping out these relative equal lows or sell side liquidity. So this is my bias on euro. Looking at price action for the week, we can see that we beautifully kept seeing lower prices supported by bearish PD arrays. I think this was Tuesday, so Monday's price action traded lower, went higher, fell off. I believe there was an event, and on Tuesday we swept the high. When we total swooped this high into this other block right there, I now immediately thought to myself, okay, now we're definitely bearish for the rest of the week. This was the point I started selling the euro, and I had to enjoy a little bit of drawdown. Because of this spike and push down, we created a wick on the daily perspective. I don't want to change to that time frame because it's going to be not so visible with all these sketches, but this was the wick. This was now a wick on a daily time frame, and the consequent encroachment was the halfway mark of that wick. Let's see if we can actually get it. This week right here, looking down here at the bottom, we can see it's Tuesday's price action. Halfway mark of this week is this point. So trading into Wednesday, I was able to pyramid my position by adding more at that week, and we can see how we did not get a close above the week, which was just beautiful, and immediately rejected from there. For those that missed it, we have this inverse fair value gap, this CB that now at this point became an inverse fair value gap. I did not add more, I did not pyramid at this point, but I did pyramid when we had a market structure shift. Because we finally swept this low. So that to me is the 2022 model. Buy side swept, displacement lower, taking out sell side, but this is not a swing low. A swing low is a candlestick that has a higher low on each side of it. So this is a low, yes, but this low is not higher. This low is way lower. So this is a swing low because this candlestick is low, candlestick's low is higher, and this candlestick's low is higher. So this to me now became a swing low. This was where a proper market structure shift happened, right? So when we swept it by this candlestick, this could have been a nice perfect entry for to pyramid the sell again, but I didn't get into that. But I did get into this other block here. So because we created a random green candle, a random bullish candle in this downtrend, this is smart money's way of reaccumulating orders to sell off even more. That's why you can see the alerts at these certain critical levels as I was pyramiding the whole week. So I added more because this other block is also within this CB, candlesticks low, candlesticks high, CB fair value gap. Traded into it, traded into the other block, and fell off from there. And at this point when we got to this low, it's a high time frame internal sell side liquidity that I'm not going to go into because the video will be too long. But when we got to this low, I started scaling off about 60 or 70% of my trades, of my position, and stop loss are still at this high. Of course, my target being at this low, the sell side that I highlighted from a daily or weekly perspective. We spiked higher, and this was just when we were going higher. Like, so I did pyramid by adding a little more at this CB, and then I added even more inside a smaller time frame, I believe a 30-minute CB here as well. Then of course price kept on going higher from there. I did not pyramid, I didn't add more after this. I still had my stop loss sitting up there. When this was happening across the board, even on the dollar index, I told myself that this is smart money's way of taking out as much liquidity as possible in order to essentially build more momentum. Think of it as running back or pulling yourself back to springboard a little bit forward faster. So this was smart money's way of wiping or accumulating as much liquidity as possible by taking out all these buy side, everyone that might have been trailing their stop loss would have been putting their stop losses at these critical levels. So smart money went up, wiped them out completely, and started falling off from there. Of course, there was other PDRAs on a lower time frame at this level where they reversed. So price traded lower. Today's price action going into Friday, we opened up and we've been bearish ever since. There is no event on our economic calendar today on Friday. And because of that, I believe we may just continue seeing a slow fall off till we reach the sell side liquidity. And that's my trade. Those are my trades for the week. I will mention that I went into pound as well. Pound has not been the weaker one. Of course, clearly has been bullish the whole week. Even made a high yesterday on Thursday. And I'm still on the same trades, the same entries, but no scaling because we didn't get any convincing move to the downside. So I still have those trades running. The ones that have broken even, I've terminated them. And we may see lower prices from here, but not sure. The other one that I touched this week, of course, were the indices. Very similar price action. I don't have to keep going over the same things. Of course, on ES, I was targeting these sell side. If you go through my previous video, you will realize that I was targeting this sell side and this sell side liquidity, which I believe will reach today. The same on the Nasdaq. I was targeting the sell side and this one, but Nasdaq was not strong enough, was not weak enough, I mean, to break it, but it's breaking these critical ones. And I've also terminated most of the others there, most of the positions there. I did once also gamble, not once, twice gamble on Bitcoin. I'm not sure why I did that, but I once took unnecessary trades on this, and that also led to me losing a lot because I was taking from this inverse fair value gap, came to it and pierced through. So I'm done on this. I'm not touching Bitcoin again. I will just observe it from time to time, but I'm not trading it again. And I believe that's all. I did not touch any exotics, didn't touch Australian dollar, the euro only touched euro USD, the pound only touched GBP USD, and I attempted gold a little bit here and there with the same bias, aiming for this inefficiency down here. This was an easy trade, of course, because it aligns with the dollar index. Everything just works with the dollar index. Of course, we swept sell side and that was it for me. So this was a tiny trade, but I didn't really put my all in it. And I believe that's all. Let me go through my history, my trade history, to see the exact levels and my change for the week. We can see these are all my trades, all my scale-ins, all my partials that I've taken for the week. Of course, I told myself not to lose more than more than $20 in a given day, preferably 15, and I made sure to stick to that. Of course, if you look here on the profit side, you may see losses like this one on Nasdaq, which was unnecessary because I didn't move my stop loss and it was way too tight, especially considering it being a swing position. So I got tagged out here with -50. I felt annoyed at myself for not realizing on time. As you can see, there was no stop loss or TP. Well, I was not able to adjust it on time for it to even register a proper stop. So yeah, per day, even though there was a loss here of 51, I made sure there was a trade that was obviously counteracting that. As we can see, for example, USD CAD here was 52. So in a single day, I never actually had a loss that was greater than $10. In fact, this week as a whole, I did not get a loss at all. Adding them all together, not saying I didn't have a loss, period. I did. You can obviously see the reds here and there, but my profits were all greater than my losses, and in total I profited essentially $354.08, or $340 if looking at the actual profit amount, counting in commissions and everything. So this is all for the week, and right now I do have trades open. As I mentioned, euro, I'm just waiting for pound to break even, then I'm terminating them. The reason I have this USD CAD open is because it's just 0.01 lots, and it's the one I caught the earliest. Same with S&P, and let's see if we can go through my trade history, even though it may be unnecessary. Of course, you're gonna be able to see all these spider webs because of all the partials and accumulation of orders and stuff. So this is the euro, this is the pound, this is Nasdaq, which just topped out yesterday, hit my TP yesterday, and finally S&P 500. This is the daily chart. As we can see, been riding it from up there, same bias for the month, I guess, and the month before. Going to the hourly, you can see still holding this one and took partials from it. So now we have this remaining one a few handles away from take profit. So that's all. Of course, there's UCAD, caught it at the low with this fair value gap at night during Asia session, and been slowly grinding up with partials and reaccumulation here and there. So with any of this, of course, I could have essentially passed the challenge with over leveraged trading. I could have caught just the USD CAD at the perfect entry. I could have maximized, I could have risked it all, and this would be covering about 10 to 20k alone on USD CAD without taking any partials. But that's not the goal, and I did say in my last videos that I will reevaluate and recalculate how to move forward with the challenge now, because I told myself mentally that I only had $500 to play with, to continue playing this game with, and to be able to make $340 from 500 and essentially almost doubling the account, in my mind was more than enough to suffice, more than enough to give me motivation and be able to continue from here onwards. So I don't want to make the video longer than it is already. That's all I have to say. That's all there is. Enjoy the rest of the day, your weekend, and weeks ahead. Good luck and good trading.